Good evening. Oh,
Good.
I look
Good
kind of
evening.
weird. I look kind of weird. Oh, right. If I turn the other light on, 1 second.
You are bleu. Bleu is good. Bleu is the color of bleu because it just goes bleu.
Alrighty. Well, that looks much better. Okay, so
Awesome. Returning back from the bleu without
yes.
the blood. No vampire sucking tonight.
No, 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 no. Got to keep the light. Got to keep the lights on.
And the garlic free for some pizza.
Nice, nice. How you doing tonight, Rye?
I am good and gravy. Yeah, tiresome. It's only Tuesday, but working from home can be tiring. But I get through it.
It can be, but there are worse things.
But got in my usual run before jumping on here, so that's always a good thing. Running is my zen. So
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, good evening, out there in the internets or whoever's deciding to check us out while we're doing our live recording. So, let's gotta get a quick chat up here. Yeah. Um. So yeah, it's Scuba and The Ry for our Tuesday night podcast recording. A couple of quick things is a shout out to Sirenscape for the background music and soundboards that we're using. We're just
shout
gonna.
out to you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And there's a affiliate link on that you can click on the Twitch panels. We're only streaming to Twitch tonight for our live stream. Had some technical issues with game stream last night, so there's no mixer stream this week. Also redid the whole layout for how the video version of the podcast looks. Shout out to owned .tv for they had a sale over the weekend on their packages, and I picked one up. The sale code was like 50% off, so got a pretty decent. I got a simple one, a decent one to kind of take the stream, take my recording, my content to a new level. We're seeing some of that here now with the little picture frames and stuff, and also got a little ticker down there with the tracking of the latest follower to the channel. So shout out to Danfo for that.
Thank
Um,
you, Danfo.
yeah. So yeah, we're gonna try and keep moving things forward with that. I got a lot of stuff to go over tonight. Unfortunately, Graza and Saladin are not joining us this week. That's how things roll. So it's
It
just
happens that way.
yeah, it's just the two of us. So we're just gonna roll with it and see how it goes. So with that, kicking it up for our what's up, what we've been up to, those kinds of things. Rye, as usual, I'll give the stage to you first. What you been up to other than work and running?
Work and running. Well, quarantine day infinite. Um, Not much places to go. We should be on the better side of this thing soon. But as each state hits those guidelines that the federal government gives, we'll eventually get to some kind of normalcy. But other than that, just typical writing, gaming, lots of different variety of games that I'll get to later, and just reading up on that. Reading up through my book of about screenplays. So slowly working through that and contemplating which story I want to convert into a screenplay once I'm done with that.
Okay.
Because right now I'm working through my romance novel, about a third way through that. So once I'm done with that, I'll jump on writing a screenplay. It's either going to be a military centric one or a coming of age centric one.
I see.
Haven't decided, but I have outlines for either or, so it's just a matter of which one will work. But this time around, I might do something different than I usually do with my stories, where I just let them go. They're usually based on my own experiences. So these next stories, if I write, I might want to interview some people to get perspectives of either on a musician or beach life and or military. So
How would you comment on military life? Are you talking about military life from being independent?
Just living through a tour, going through a tour of duty. So just taking that, combining it with the outline I have, and just kind of fictionalize it a little bit.
Yes, because we could always use more fiction to talk about deployments.
Oh yes, because I that's what I'm pretty good at, like taking a story and just kind of weaving in the main traits and building everything around it. Because sometimes sometimes you don't people don't want all their story told, so you just gotta kind of just uh flavor it around with color, but not to the point to where it's unbelievable, just enough to make it endearing. So,
Gotcha.
but other than that, that's pretty much it. Nothing else going on. If we were to venture out, might venture out to one of the local state parks at some point because they're still open. I saw that the Gardens in Norfolk is still open, so I might start venturing out to those places.
Well, I imagine most parks are not going to be too terrible when it comes to doing some kind of activity, just
Yeah,
because you know, just because there's still there's plenty of opportunity for social distancing though
oh yeah,
at most parks. So
yeah. Especially the parks in our area. There's enough space to where you can keep your good deeds
yeah,
away from other people. Well, that's it. Nothing else. Just
not much going on
writing,
there.
writing, reading, gaming,
Ah,
and venturing out. Well, not going out too much, but finding other little like restaurants and things that I might try out once it opens back up again.
okay,
So,
that's always a good thing. Alrighty, for me,
how are you?
uh, let's see. Went Monday was or Saturday and Sunday. I spent most of the day binge watching YouTube videos on how to be a better streamer and content creator.
Yeah,
Specifically, start Saturday, Friday. I guess part of the day Saturday was spent watching some stuff from Gaming Careers YouTube channel. Really informative stuff. A lot of tech spec type things for messing around with how we do how I do the stream and how I do recording in general. Went and helped Shadow Mains and his wife move into their new place Saturday
awesome.
afternoon. And then Saladin and Graza stopped by, hung out, had some pizza Saturday evening. So Saturday was pretty busy. Um, Latter part of last week, I got all the podcast episodes from 38 to 42 edited for audio, staged and released on YouTube. It was a big bombarding of content going out, both audio and video, and the audio downloads definitely jumped up quite a bit. So seems that's where we're definitely doing good audio wise. So if you're checking out the stream and then wanting to listen to the podcast in audio, you can find it at all the usual places: Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Play Store to find the podcast Scuba and The Ry. Um, Also sitting there going through and had to change out the brakes on my Jeep because I waited a little
Yeah,
too long.
that
Tweeted,
was an adventure.
yeah, I tweeted a photo of it. My neighbor helped me out. It's like I would pretty much run the rotor down to where it was just like a sheet of paper thin on one side. So it was like I about blew the caliper. So I'm glad I kind of saved from doing that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good save.
yeah. So and then more setting this stuff, working on the new setup. Monday, of course, did game stream, and that could have been better, but I think toward the latter part of it, it went pretty well.
Yeah,
Um, and then getting this new setup for today straight. Graza was nice enough to provide a new background image for the show, so definitely liking
thank you,
that.
brother.
Yes, much appreciated on that. So, and I think this week just some. I think I got a D&D game Friday night, and then maybe some hanging out with some friends on Sunday because this isolation thing is getting to a few peeps, and so gotta do our best to kind of connect these even in small groups.
Yeah,
So,
keep it small, but you can definitely see people. It's just a matter of following guidelines.
oh yeah, totally, totally worth following some guidelines. Um, but we'll see how that kind of rolls out. Um, I think that's about it for me. So I guess we'll kind of roll into our movies.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. So review intro now.
Oh,
Alrighty, and today we're going to be going over your latest review at ryreviews.com for the last flag filing. Flying. I don't know why I said
flying
filing. Flying! Tweet, tweet,
up
tweet,
in the
tweet, 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 tweet,
air.
tweet, tweet.
Or waving because it's a flag.
Yeah,
Ish.
so, wow, this is an interesting cast. So, Rye, take it away. Tell us about this.
All right. So, with this isolation, I have been digging deep back in the catalog, finding films that fell through the cracks and catching up. And this is a movie that came out in 2017. It was a small indie film from a famed director, Richard Linklater, which he's known for movies like Dazed and Confused and the Oscar nominated Boyhood. This film focuses on goes down a different route than you usually expect from Richard Linklater because most of his films center around some kind of high school or slice of life drama, but this one is very military centric. So you have three characters: Larry Doc Shepard, played by Steve Carell, and his two war buddies, Sal, played by Bryan Cranston, and Richard, played by Lawrence Fishburne, and he recruits them to because he is going to bury his son who tragically died in the line of duty in Iraq. Um,
Interesting.
so when they fly in the bodies, he has to get the body from Dover Air Force Base, and he decides to take the body home to New Hampshire to bury him at home. So the film focuses on the rekindling of their friendship because they hadn't seen each other in like 30 years. So the whole movie is centered around their relationship, their friendship, and just kind of rediscovering life's purpose even after all the stuff that happened during their tour in their time in the military, which was during the Vietnam War.
Oh, okay.
So this movie, as I mentioned before, the director Richard Linklater, he's known for making films that center around either coming of age or some kind of slice of life format. So you're just watching characters live as is. So he takes that idea format and combines it with this military setting, focusing on veterans and a post career, but it's kind of melding between their idea of the military while living through the second Persian Gulf War, Iraq War in the early 2000s. So watching this film, you're watching them interact and their friendship come back to blossom. But the focal point is how these three have very distinct perspectives on war and duty. And that comes to light in their conversations. So this film is more of a dialogue driven film than most military films I've seen. So you just watch their characterization through dialogue, through interaction. It goes everything from, the most dramatic to sincere to some of the most laugh out loud funny moments. But what makes it so unique is that there's a genuine bond that you feel between these characters. And that's a testament to the three actors who showcase true individuality, but also gives that individual perspective on how that idea of war and duty has affected them for 30 years to this point.
Okay.
So that's what I would say about the film. Like the strong point of it is the fact that it focuses on character and it's dialogue driven, and it doesn't stay true to the three-act format. It's linear to a sense because you're taking the body from point A to point B to marry and stuff, but it's all focused on just watching them just rekindle their friendship and just finding life's purpose again through the irony of the passing of Doc's son.
The Okay, you missed through Doc. Say that again. Through Doxson.
Yeah, Doc is the name of Steve Carell's character, and his son is the one that tragically died. But it ironically it's a testament to seeing life's purpose, and it brings their perspectives together in conversation format.
Ah, okay.
So there's that irony of seeing War and Duty having two different outcomes with the son and these three that have lived through some kind of traumatic effect from Vietnam.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So I know Steve Carell's got has done a few films lately where he doesn't come across as the satire comedian like in Evan Almighty. There was what a wrestling one he did or something like that a
Uh,
few little while back.
yeah, it's called Foxcatcher.
Okay,
Um,
and that was one of the first ones where it was a really serious look at how Steve Carell's acting ability,
Oh
right?
yeah, that was one of his first dramatic roles, and then after that, you've seen him in some comedies, but a lot of the films after that have been focused on drama, like the Big Short, Battle of the Sexes, Last Flag Flying, this one, and Vice and Welcome to Marwin. So a lot of the films he's been venturing out have been dramatic or biopics.
Okay. Interesting. So, what would you say? So, what are we going to call this one?
This film, I call it's a very endearing kind of film. It is one that it will give you a gratifying experience, especially the way that Linklater combines slice of life and the military genre together, because it creates a genuine journey of living through their eyes, but also finding yourself against life's purpose. So if you're a fan of strong character, strong dialogue films, this is one for you. So if
Okay.
I gave it a 4 out of 5, I think it would be worth the full price of admission at the theaters. But
Uh,
it is available on Amazon Prime, so if you want to check it out, that's where you check it out.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Where can we go watch this? Because I knew I was planning to watch it before, but I just got caught up in trying to do some
I
content stuff.
highly recommend that to you because I think you would enjoy the conversational thing, and plus being in the military, you would see, like my brother said, he watched it with me. You would see all the three different types of people in the military in these three characters.
Ah, okay. So this is a nice thing to talk about. I guess arguably the tropes of military people,
Yeah.
or especially veterans who've been removed.
Oh yeah. It's. I think you would enjoy it. The puns and innuendos that they do to each other.
Okay, sounds good. What was? Is there anything that's really strong or weak about the this particular story or
The
film?
only weakness I would say is that, as I mentioned, this is a very dialogue driven, character driven style film. So it does take a very slow, methodical approach, and it does take time before the film kicks in.
Okay.
So there's the inciting incident in the beginning where Doc is reaching out to his friends. So it takes its time, and then the key event is when he gets his son's body and goes to New Hampshire. That's when the film
Ah.
kicks in. So like a good 20 minutes in the film, it's very slow, but it is slow on purpose, and it comes back full circle in the end.
Okay.
But
Cool.
if you can get through that first 20 minutes, you'll be fine.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, so I don't. I any. I guess anything. What else you've been watching?
I've been, going through all the stream stuff. I've been watching season 3 of Westworld. It's been an up and down season. Like I think it's very disjointed because they're trying to go in this linear perspective, but still try to play with that mythos and delve deep into the ideology of man and machine.
Okay.
It conflicts with what's going on within the season. So there's a lot of like one episode's really great and the other episode is like what, you know. So far it's been disjointed, but I'm still enjoying it. I finished a docu series on Netflix called Formula One Drive to Survive, which focuses on the Formula One racing circuit,
Okay.
which is pretty cool because it goes behind the scenes and deals with the drivers, the owners, the crew, and how the ups and downs of the season and how they struggle to either make it to the top or just try to finish, you know, even. And
Okay.
then there's just a few other series I'm getting through. I did finish Carbon, like I told you, the first two seasons. Very excellent sci-fi series. I would recommend it to anybody who's a big fan of sci-fi. Favorite is season two over season one, but that's because they delve a lot more into character and lore in the second season.
Fair, fair. Um, I guess for me, it's a little bit of other, aside from all the YouTube stuff I've been watching. I've been catching. I think I'm working on episode 12 of Into the Mist, which is
Okay.
a Realm Smith's Curse of Strahd campaign. They wrapped up just as all of this COVID-19 stuff hit.
Mm.
Um, and then trying to get into Tides of Wildmount. Then I picked up and watched through the SWAT Cats cartoon series because
Okay.
I was feeling nostalgic, and it's just kind of one of those things. Sometimes you just needs it. It kind of goes in with why you did that 20 for 20 from what it was is something that really just kind of inspires your creativity and inspires
Yeah.
you. So I pulled that up, picked that up and kind of worked through that. It was. I really wish they continued it, and I really wish I could have jumped in on the Kickstarter years ago or the crowdfunding to try and get a third season of it off the ground. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, they try to reboot it or come back.
Oh yeah,
Um,
nostalgia is definitely it does definitely happen from time to time. So I
yeah,
just up in that old X-Men animated series just to feel it again.
Yeah, and of course, I'm keeping up on the late on season 7 of Clone Wars. They just started the Mandalorian Siege of Mandalore arc, and that was really nice because it definitely is putting it right at the same time that Revenge of the Sith is kicking off. In fact, there's a great element where it's like the first bit of the show when everybody's coming together. Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and Anakin and Rex, they're all together. And it's like Rex and Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and Anakin are in the squad bay talking, and then all of a sudden they get the call that Grievous has launched his assault on Coruscant, which is the opening of Revenge of the Sith. So
Yes.
we actually see that, okay, those two go off, and we'll probably never see them again in the series because their story culminates in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Whereas now we can focus on Ahsoka and Rex, which from the book Ahsoka, that it tells what happened after and when Order 66 happened. But now we're leading into those elements, so I'm really kind of excited for that.
It
Um,
will definitely fill in the blanks for a lot of things.
it sucks that there's only 3 more episodes and the series is done, but
It's still three more that you didn't have before.
this is true. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to disagree with that. Uh,
But
so
speaking of animated, I did finish a new anime or a new old anime on Crunchyroll called Radiant, first season, which is pretty good. It deals with magic wielders and stuff.
okay.
So if you're into like magic style anime, it is that. I finished season four of My Hero Academia, which is one of the biggest animes in the world right now. But I just love it. So the fourth season just has you yearning for season five, which you'll have to wait till forever and a day. But we'll get there. So
Alrighty.
a lot more anime coming down the road.
Sweet. Um, so what about so we'll kind of segue into that 20 for 20. You said you just wrapped it up.
Yes.
So what was the point of doing the 20 for 20? We kind of talked on the whole creative influence, but that's something you and I talked about offline.
Yeah.
So
Oh
how
yeah.
about just in general, what was kind of inspired this whole 20 for 20 and why you did this aside from something to do during this all this time of isolation.
Well, like I mentioned last podcast, I saw my cousin was doing it, so I thought it would be a cool idea. So what I did instead of just started posting, I was like, let me think back, and then I realized when I was putting together the list for the 20 for 20, which is 20 albums that in 20 days that impacted my life at any point in my life. And putting these albums together, I realized that um, creating this list, it showed how much influence I got from all of these different albums and artists. when it affected my own writing, my own style, and also my own kind of like emotional development through the years. Because each of these albums, as I posted them online and listening to them again, brought back memories of certain times of in my life or certain moments in my life where it impacted me and changed me for the better.
Okay.
So not only did a lot of the albums influence the way I, write, the way I see things in the world, or it also helped me open my eyes to certain aspects of life. Because some of the music on there, it's hard and heavy, hard rock, or just general country, but it's the idea of what those albums or music surrounds. So, case in point, the bookends of this list is anybody that knows me knows that my favorite band of all time till I die is Incubus. I love Incubus. I have loved Incubus since day one I've ever heard them. And the epitome of that band and those two albums that bookend the list is that it showcases a twofold approach. It showcases the genuine aspect of what an artist does and puts blood, sweat, and tears into their craft. But the two albums showcase the evolution of an artist because what it is that both albums are two distinctly different sounds, but they're obviously the same band. So that what that shows to me is that an artist can evolve but have their own unique style, regardless of them going from genre to genre or going from their teens to their 20s to the 30s. You will always have something distinct to you that will showcase within whatever you get your creative paintbrush dipped into.
Okay.
So, but a lot of the albums on the list, just to name a few, like Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory, Thursday, Full Collapse, Eric Church, Mr. Misunderstood, they all highlight an important moment at that time in my life. It pushed me in certain directions. It saved me from certain things, and it's all about just reliving memories. So that's what the whole point of doing the list was, looking back at how I grew as a person through all those different times of my life up until this point.
Okay. Oh, I like it. I'm looking forward to adding all the albums to my playlists so that I
I
can catch up.
Yeah, I think you'll it's a very eclectic list. So it goes
Oh,
everywhere from alternative to hard rock to country to
I like just about everything that sounds good. Granted, most of my tastes probably stopped at the early 2000s
yeah,
versus some of the newer stuff. I spent
yeah.
a lot of my current stuff is a lot of the older, definitely 90s influence and 2000s. So a lot of those albums, like I remember when they hearing them when some of them came out, and can pick two or three songs based on the album cover or what I remember. So that was fun.
Oh yeah.
But
I think if you pop in, looking at that list and popping in those albums, you're gonna have some. Ooh, Ryan likes this crazy stuff, and be like, oh, that's pretty awesome. No, it's a good eclectic list. It'll definitely keep you thinking.
alrighty, well, what we got next? We got a couple of movie news. Now, the news list we got here, we're probably not going to go through it all, but we can kind of see how the conversation flows. First one is an update on Venom 2, and it
Yes.
now has an official title.
Oh yeah. So that dropped today. Venom 2 has been renamed to Venom Let There Be Carnage. And looking at the title, you can obviously tell what the nemesis is going to be in that film.
Yeah, it's going to be It's going to be Carnage, so
Oh yes.
that'll
But
be
there's
very
one
cool.
thing. Yeah. But the film is been pushed back though.
Well, I've just been everything's been pushed back, so there's
Yeah.
some chatter about some of the new updated release schedules and whatnot. So either way, though, I think once we get into the fall and the holiday time this year, a lot of this stuff will be rolling right again. So
Oh yeah, it's definitely what this fall, from all the things being pushed back, it's going to be packed because fall season is, which I've mentioned before, is Oscar season. But now they moved all the summer movies at the same time, so it's going to be loaded.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely worth it. Um, I'm looking forward to this. I'm curious how this is gonna go. I think Woody Harrelson, based on some of his previous stuff for a psychologically tormented character is going to be interesting.
Oh yeah.
So that and Tom Hardy and he's no slouch when it comes to some of the things he's done because he's got a wide variety of different characters that he's done. So I'm
I
curious to
agree.
see how it goes. I'm curious if they're going to find some way to bridge over to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, just to see how that starts to work itself out. Granted, it's not the quote unquote traditional way the two cross paths, but I think given the right writers and the right opportunity, I think they could come up with a new story there that could be just as interesting.
Oh yeah.
So
I do have hope, like any film, that this will be good, at least good, because the first one, it made a lot of money, but I, just to keep it mildly, I did not like it. And there's various reasons. You can check my review on ryreviews.com if you want to see. But otherwise, I do hope, because it's a different director, because Andy Serkis is directing it. You have a very strong villain in Carnage, so there's a lot of things they could definitely play with, and they don't have to play with the origin story anymore. They can just go full blown into a whole different story. They can just go. Everybody knows Venom, Eddie Brock, and just go.
fair, fair. Alrighty. Our next one has to do with yet another streaming service, and this is one we talked about previously, and that is the HBO Max service is finally going to come out in May of this year.
Oh yeah, so they're gonna definitely be another streaming service coming out, and HBO Max is just a combo of all the HBO catalog with Time Warner, Warner Brothers. So there's going to be a huge catalog of shows, including back old school sitcoms like Friends, Big Bang Theory, and Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and also previously unaired episodes of South Park, Doctor Who, and Rick and Morty. Just to
Uh,
name a couple things that might grab you. But
well, the Rick and Morty, I'm one of those people who's not up to date with Rick and Morty,
I'm not either. I did watch a few episodes, so I'm kind of hooked. But I got to go back and watch it. But our article further goes down into their expanding that HBO Max is going to have a deep library, because they're going to be able to pull from movies and TV shows from New Life Cinema, Warner Brothers, Cartoon Network, TBS, TNT, HBO, and other Warner Brothers owned network stuff.
I think I mean, that's going to be a lot of content
Oh
to
yeah.
kind of chew through. I'm wondering how it's going to affect the HBO Now or the HBO Go, or is this going to be the new evolution and they're going to go away?
I believe no, those are staying, because those like HBO Go is tied to, if you have, say, like I have BIOS and have the movie package, you log into HBO Go to access it. So that's so you can access it outside your TV.
Okay.
So the other one, it might replace the other one, because this basically is that option plus everything that Warner Brothers owns. And there's a couple interesting tidbits, and one of them is in an article that you have on the list, so I'll skip over that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
We'll
due to
see what we can do with
success,
that.
a Green Lantern show is coming out exclusively on HBO Max. So for you Green Lantern fans, there you go.
Anything's better than the last time they did a feature film of him.
Ah, let's leave that in a memory forgotten.
Oh no, it was summed up very well at the end of Deadpool 2. We all know it. All know it. Deadpool 2 handled that very well. All right. Okay. So next thing is kind of a brief gloss over of state of game.
Oh yeah.
Don't really have a lot of games to talk about. I don't have any campaign diary type things. Obviously, things are still kind of closed. Um, there was a recent video for Swamp Sniper where he did a little cinematic thing where it's like Bigfoot was invading the field, so he had to address it. It was a cute little video. So that's probably the only thing there. Other than that, not a whole lot game wise. Did play some more Division 2 last night with you.
Yes.
Aside from tech issues on the stream, it did finally go well. We did get a few things knocked out.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. We did a lot of more bounties last night, though. It's like every time we ran around, there was a bounty.
Actually, I think that was the same bounty that reset itself 3 times.
Hey, it still gave us a lot of good gear.
Oh yeah, yeah. Gear experience. I'm not gonna complain, but I'm wondering if maybe because some of the stuff I've been watching with is kind of rethinking what's the whole point of why I'm on Twitch, why what am I bringing to the quote unquote table within this particular industry of content creation? Because it's pretty wide. I'm learning more and more how wide and diverse it is, and really kind of trying to find what works and works for me as well as fitting into that overall thing. What value do I bring to the table? So that's influencing a lot of how I'm setting some of this stuff up. I may actually start playing more games, but I may take more of the route of okay, I'll record my gameplay and put it and just may not stream it live, may just put it up as a set of videos of me interacting and going through the game. So I'm not sure. So it's some stuff to think about. But Division Two is kind of it's getting to the higher levels, so running out of things to do. So there isn't really anything unique there. I did see a promo for a new survival type game. Um, it's gone deep or something like that, where it's like you crash in the ocean and you have to get to a desert island and you have to survive and craft an escape. So it's got a lot of those different survival elements that we saw in Minecraft and in Subnautica and things like that. So that kind of caught my interest. I'm curious about maybe checking it out because it's coming to Xbox. So we'll see how that kind of plays itself up.
I'll have to look into it too, with the plethora of other games.
Yeah, well, I do have a lot of stuff to go through, and one of the things I was looking at was I learned about a couple of new sites to kind of look at. And there's a Twitch site. Let's see, I got it in my notes. Twitch Strike, which is basically a website you can go to and you can see what the saturation level is for streamers and what games they're playing, and kind of gives you a recommendation if you want to do more of this live streaming a game, what games have a better chance of you getting viewers than some of the other games. Turns out like some of the worst, like one of the ones I was thinking about doing was doing Witcher 3. And I was thinking about streaming it. Well, Witcher 3 is so overly saturated that there's like couple hundred different Twitch channels of people playing Witcher 3, but they're only getting like 3 or 4 viewers a piece.
Yeah.
So
there could be a lot of reasons of playing to that. one, the series. 2, it's a very popular game. And 3, it's Witcher 3 is just awesome.
Yeah. Hands down. But that's that and a lot of this other stuff I've been learning. A lot of the stuff I've been learning through watching these vids is like, there's a lot of things in there. It's like, you know what? Maybe I need to rethink how I'm going about doing all of this.
Oh yeah, it's an evolution of sorts. There's a lot of different variety of items to touch on and grab upon. But
yeah, and it's like this. It's like I'm thinking definitely we record this live, so we can go through and do our show live. Yeah. We put it up on Twitch in case anyone who has found the podcast, likes the podcast, and wants to potentially join us and interacting with the podcast. And that's why we do it live. We don't do it live to quote unquote get viewers via Twitch streaming. It's one of the biggest strategies I'm trying to work out now is, okay, I do this content and I do this content for other places.
Yeah.
And hopefully as that establishes itself, then people will come here as a way of migrating because they enjoy the content we create. So it's an evolution, and it shows what I was kind of how I was going about it prior versus now, how I was going about it prior, it's like it didn't really lend itself very well. So I'm thinking as I get more knowledgeable in this whole content space that I work out a better plan. But like everything, it's evolution. I'm an amateur. We're just trying to do this. But a lot of looking through on those things. So
Yeah, 5 foot above with 3 inches on top for me. But
so yeah.
I do know people are listening. I don't know if it's always live, but they are at least listening to Google, Apple, or Spotify. Check us out today. But they are listening because I get messages and tidbits from people saying they enjoy listening and they like what we talk about,
Well,
and I just tell them to keep spreading the word.
keep spreading the word. If you're checking this out, if you check out our show on YouTube at Scuba Studio YouTube, uh, click the like, click the subscribe, so you know when more content comes out. Um, if you're listening to us on the on those various podcasts on your podcast channels, go through and give a like, give us a rating. More things like that will help us aggregate better. I'm working on the whole consistency thing, so I do apologize. Sometimes there's we ins and outs where we got a couple of weeks where it's a little dry and then more stuff. So I'm getting better. I'm getting more knowledgeable. I do realize that the game streams when I post the game stream stuff over to YouTube, I don't do it as the whole stream. I do, okay, we did this mission. So I will take a clip that is that mission and push it over so that someone could see, okay, how doing this mission. I need to go through, and one of the things I want to do is definitely get an editor to kind of like put in some better stuff with this mission had to do with these things on this map, so here it is for reference for later. This is again evolutionary in its thought process.
Oh yeah.
So, but it's fun, and it's a lot of fun. It's also a lot of work, but given right now with the whole isolation, the whole COVID thing, which hopefully everyone is staying safe, staying healthy, doing all of those things they got to do, then we're gonna work out. I get a chance to kind of work this out and get a rhythm and a rhyme to it. I still have to think about what I'm gonna do for my crafting thing tomorrow, but I'm thinking, given all this new knowledge I've gotten over the last 72 hours, and it was really making me rethink what, how, and why. That show might evolve a little bit too, so we'll see how that goes. But I have been making a lot of updates to the channel. I've been making a lot of updates to all the other channels to try and build a little better consistency across the brand. So there is growth. It's evolving, but it's evolving slowly. So maybe this is a case study for, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, and what are some of the trials and tribulations? Yes, there's a lot of knowledge. Like Alpha Gaming is one of the ones I've been watching, and gaming careers, and it's like these guys have been in this space for a few years, so they're sharing their knowledge. Me, I'm sharing the learning curve as I climb it. So
Yeah, you'll get there.
yeah, I think we will.
Kirby agrees. He's wide open over here, so
Yeah. Kirby's always agreeing. He just never shuts up. He's always got his mouth open.
you know what can I say? I can't speak. But speaking of Kirby and games, I am going all over the place with games.
Oh, really? What do you got?
Outside of the Division 2 with you, is I did finally um, get an extra external on my PS4 and put a few games on there, which includes the Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I've been
Nice.
slowly playing through that, and that is a great trip of nostalgia, but it is a true work of art when it comes to being remade because it's a whole new game from the ground up, both in story and in gaming mechanics because it's a fusion of action RPG with spell casting. So you're going through the fights like you're fighting, but you can pause and you can set certain spells, attack with certain skills, and if you're in a party, you can switch between the party members, or you can designate the party member to do a certain thing on a certain enemy, etc., etc.
Cool.
So I haven't gotten too far in because what happens is I like to meander and do all the other stuff. So I am in a new main mission in a different part. So definitely going to keep it moving forward and keep it updated on that game. And also, I downloaded Journey and started playing that on the PS4, which is a very speaking of those meditative kind of games. Back from a segment from last week, that's what it feels like. You're just kind of going along, and it's a very visual storytelling game. There is no dialogue. There's no vocals. It's all done. The story is told through visuals. So you get to points in the game where they're filling in this like mosaic art thing, and it's telling the story from section to section.
Okay.
So, and all you know, you're this character, you're trying to fill in the blanks of this story, and you're navigating to this light. And that's it. But there's different, puzzles to solve. There's different things that you interact with, but nobody tells you anything. You just kind of figure it out through visual cues. So that's definitely a
Gotcha.
fun game. And outside of Division 2 on the Xbox, I did dabble in Fantasy Star Online 2 because it's on the Xbox One now. So it's another RPG. I'm going to take a dab and stab at it. So created my character, did a couple missions, and we'll go through it a little bit more. See if I will keep going with it.
Sweet.
And Days Gone is coming. I did install it. Scuba knows this. I know this. So that might be a fourth game.
Fourth game. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
if you get to it, you get to it. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. All right. I think that's pretty much it on the gaming front.
Yeah.
Um, and then we're about 45 minutes in, give or take. Yeah. Um, had a lot of interest. Kind of went over there. Just kind of, that's this whole thing. It's conversational. We kind of just hang out and talk about things.
Yeah.
Um, so let's go through a couple of things on our article list to pick from. Let's start off with what you alluded to with HBO Max, and that is the new show J.J. Abrams is working on with HBO Max.
Oh yeah. So J.J. Abrams has been hired by the people at Warner Media, struck a deal to do a Justice League Dark TV show on HBO Max exclusively.
I'm okay. I'm looking forward to this. I watched the anime version or the anime story of Justice League Dark, and I thought it was really good. And there's a new one that just came out. It's like Justice League Apocalypse, where where you have the Dark Crew going up against Dark Side. So, but I just like the character of John Constantine. I like that whole mysticism side of the DC universe in terms of
Yeah,
those characters. I find they're very very fascinating, and just the personality, especially the personality of Constantine, and the way that Mark Ryan or Mark Reynolds, the actor who's been playing Constantine for the TV show and on Legends, the way he does this character, it's like this is that character. This is John Constantine.
oh yeah, and it's definitely this will be one of the staple shows over on HBO Max. Plus, being on a streaming service, you have a lot more wiggle room to expand content and showcase different things.
Definitely,
But
definitely.
so, and especially this I think it's a big plus because it does expand upon lore that the casual fans might not know about when it comes to DC Comics. So it'll give them that exposure, kind of like Marvel did with their TV shows on Netflix and some of the movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange, which are lesser known characters for the casual fans. So I think this is a good way. It does expand the universe, and it does give a one up with J.J. Abrams because it's one of three series that he's developing for HBO Max.
All right, and since we're going into that, bear with me. I've got a roadmap here. Um,
Lead the way, Scuba.
all right, we're gonna jump from that to the fact that word just came out. Not that anyone should really be over that surprised, but Comic Con for this year has been canceled, and it will return in 2021.
Oh yes. So the people at San Diego Comic Con were holding out hope that they could possibly pull it out, but with how big that Comic Con is, and that many people, especially at the height of what's going on right now, they felt it best to postpone it to next year.
Yeah, so that's one of those things. It's like, you know what? I'm kind of I don't blame them, and especially because there was an article not too long ago, the mayor of LA saying that he does they don't believe that there's going to be a lot of large grouping until at least 2021, which, given the state of things, is not that preposterous.
It's not that preposterous, and it has nothing to do with what side of the spectrum you believe politically. It's just a matter of fact that once everything is in the clear, I mentioned this last week. You're going to have a group that is going to be fine and going out, but majority of people are going to be hesitant. So especially when you have these large events,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, you're investing a lot of time, money, and manpower into these events. You're going to want to get recruit some kind of recruit something back from it. So if you're investing a lot, you're expecting twice as much back. So if you're not getting the people, that means you're not getting that money flow, and then it's just not going to have that same trickle down effect. Plus, another reason I think this got postponed is that all the big releases had big shows at Hall H at San Diego Comic Con, and with a lot of postponement of a lot of big titles, movie titles, and other things, they might not have had a lot of showcase items there. So even with it going on, technically, if it would have, probably would have not had a lot of big vendors there for people to see.
that's fair.
That's just a glance at what else has been happening around.
Oh yeah, totally, totally. Um, yeah, it's and the thing is I'm wondering is this is probably going to be a lot more content to go over when it gets in there.
But yeah,
So we'll see how, and it may the show itself may change as a result of this.
yeah, it might like a lot of things like those shows. It might evolve over a longer period of time. They might move it to a different area because from what I've heard, word of mouth from people I know that've gone to it, they can. That's a very small convention center, and it's been growing every year. So you know,
Yeah. And we're going to take that as the jump off to the last thing we'll talk about tonight. And that is, we heard not too long ago that the big show in Austin, South by Southwest, was canceled because it was one of
yeah,
the first major convention type things. Not the first, but it's definitely one of the bigger ones. I know it from a lot of content and maker type things, and there were a lot of people who would go to see that, and this is like, this was a big thing because Austin, Texas, this is one of their biggest events in the city, so there's a lot of revenue that's generated from all the people visiting for this event. So
yeah, it's a big money maker for Austin, and it's the first big showcase for a lot of indie film artists. So
yes.
a lot of those films start here and they make their way through Cannes and Toronto Film Festival and all the big Sundance. This is the starting point for a lot of those films on the film circuit. So
Well,
having this chance hurt them.
yeah, it did. And you found an interesting article, and it looks like this is again proof that there's definitely an evolution, and how at this point in service providers is not there's a lot of opportunity, and that is South by Southwest. The movie slate is going to launch on Prime Video in a few days. I think that it's like we're recording this on the 21st.
Yeah,
This says it's going to come out on the 27th. That's huge because that is the whole market of Prime is going to get this. So these films are going to all not only get their kickoff as like they would do at South by Southwest, but now they're going to get far more exposure than they would have at just South by Southwest.
oh yeah.
Or so I think this is kind of cool as far as an evolutionary thing. I wonder if this is going to set a new bar. What do you think?
I think this is a good window into melding the online streaming market with a festival circuit. From the article, they said it's going to be 39 films launched over the days between April 27th and May 6th. So
That's a lot of films.
that is a lot of films, and it does give more window for people to look at it that would not have been able to go to the festival. But what this does is that it showcases that it's going to have another avenue for festivals to reach out when it comes to streaming. Not only like a festival like this, with this mostly movie influence. There's some musical acts, but mostly movie influence. But like for the big musical festivals like Coachella or Coachella, or the one that happens here that's going to start happening here, something in the water, they'll give not only, they could probably just not only have the people, but also have like a live stream, which could add even more revenue if people pay for the stream. Because, like you said, this has been showcased on Amazon Prime, aka people that have paid for subscriptions for that Prime will have access to this, and they'll they'll get put more eyes on films that some people would have never seen in the first place. This is goes to the epitome of like when people say this is a great film, but the casual movie goer never hears or sees it because it's not in their movie theater. This gives them another way to see all those other films and be able to have those conversations for the award circuit down at the end of the year.
Hmm. Totally. So.
So, like, just highlighting a quote in here from Deadline. Amazon Studios head Jennifer said, "We understand every film has its own strategy, and we know this opportunity may not make sense for every filmmaker. However, for those who want to share their stories right now with as many people as possible, we're excited to provide them this platform." End quote. So I think it's a benefit. It'll showcase how festivals can reach out beyond those that come, but this is not going to take away from the festival atmosphere, because the festival, even though this gives a platform for the films, there's a lot of other businesses that rely on that festivals within the town. Like you mentioned, Austin, this is their big event of the year.
Yeah.
So all those restaurants, all those the hotels, the other shopping districts and businesses, and other attractions in Austin uh, live off these people that come to town for this festival. So, and also just a tidbit: there's a Formula One track out in Austin.
Well, I am doing my job hunting, so to speak. Which hopefully I'll hear. I should have a version of my resume, new version of my resume come in the next couple of days. So I'm excited about that, and
Oh
then
yeah.
revamping some more social media stuff. Um, yeah, winding that down. I'm looking forward to that. So moving into kind of wrapping stuff up, we're hitting right at that 1 hour mark, which is a good thing for the two of us. Um, so rolling into some contact stuff. We'll say before I flip it, we'll say flip this over to our contact stuff. New transition there. All right. Yeah, not going to see our beautiful faces for this, but just for those listening in to hear our contact info, did again that whole evolutionary thing. There's now a Scuba Studio Twitter and a Scuba Studio Instagram. So if you look on both of those platforms for Scuba Studio, you will be able to find those, connect, and interact, and that's where we'll post updates for the studio stuff. If you want to follow me, Scuba, on Twitter specifically, you can find me at ScubaCod on Twitter. Ry, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and my pretty face all over the place. Just send me a friend request. Incubus Trav.
Alrighty. Of course, we have all the various things to do. If you like the show, whatever, you could consider joining us on Patreon. Working on some other things. Always looking forward for some support on this. We're going to keep doing what we do and see as we evolve. So if you want to join on that ride or whatever, appreciate it. If you want to send us some feedback, you could send the feedback by leaving comments in all the various places you get it, or you could email us at scubastudio@gmail.com. We're going to be kind of rolling through that. Let's see, gonna give some shout outs to all the various places to make sure you let us know. We do have a Discord server. You could check us out on Discord. Notes will be in the show notes as usual for contact info. Shout out to Valgraza from Nemagen Studios for our background image this week, as well as the logo. And again, shout outs to Sirenscape for letting us use their background music and uh, soundboards. It's always good to have hang out with them. Should be hearing some more stuff as we go through. And I think with that, we are ready to call it. Real quick tidbit on our schedule, game schedule on Monday nights. The podcast records live on Tuesdays, and Wednesday is typically a crafting or dungeon crafting related thing because I'm still trying to get into more of the tabletop. Still working out a plan for a D&D podcast, D&D show, themed show, but we're kind of working some out. Some of this evolution is kind of moving toward that. Is there anything else you want to jump out on there and say, Ryan?
Uh, just keep watching, sharing, tell all your friends. We like to talk and discuss movies, games, news items, and the entertainment. Maybe some odds and ends here and there.
Alrighty, well, with that, y'all stay safe, have a good week, and we will catch you on our next one.
Peace.